about that Barry trucking.
Yeah, buddy, what's shaking? Come on.
Is that old Ryan Derrickson up there?
You found me.
Well, hey man, last time I saw you, you were in a different truck. What do you got going on now?
Yeah, I like to keep people guessing, right? Never know. Yeah, that one, not only did we like it a lot, but pretty much everybody liked it a lot, and one particular individual really liked it a lot, so he decided he wanted to have it, and I let him. So it was sold, back in October of last year, and had to go out and get something going. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time, but I wanted to kind of look around and find something I liked that was well suited for the purpose at hand, and here's what I found, and couldn't be happier, actually. It's nice having brand new stuff. So this is what we're going to run for a bit, and yeah, she's looking all right, and people like this one too.
10-4, what is it? What, for the folks that don't know, what are you running there?
That's a 14 Pete 386 with a 15 Great Dane, and it's basically a 379 Peterbilt chassis with some aerodynamic effects to it and a set back front axle, but the cabin sleeper are just like the truck that you saw me in last time. So from the interior angle, it's a newer interior, obviously, a little bit different design, but it's a bigger bunk than the blue one that I had. That was a 63. Well, now they actually call it the 63. I believe they call it a 68. And this used to be called a 70. Now it's called a 78. And that's the only difference.
10-4. Well, I'm glad it's suiting you well and doing right by you. Well, obviously enough, we found each other again. We actually had for the folks on the internet watching this, we had a chance to grab lunch together today, so that was nice catching up. And I figured I'm heading to Wildwood, you're heading to Wildwood. Why not get us another part two, if you will, rolling CB interview. It's not very often people get that opportunity.
Yeah, well, it's always great to hear from you, of course. And yeah, with the Wildwood show, I had that delivered there in Orlando, and I knew you were around. You had gotten me on that email the night before, actually regarding some not pictures, but actually I guess a model somebody had made of the blue truck I used to have, and yeah, it worked out. We were both heading this way, so why not, huh? Good to ride with you as always.
10-4, and you got your radio up in there, right?
Oh yeah, always do. You know, like I said, when you had caught up with me in the blue one, the thing was just brand new, and the radio that was in it, you know, it just had to be dialed in a little bit right with the antenna setup that we had on it, and of course that the whole thing got buried in the cab as far as the cable and wiring and all that. It worked just fine, but had to be adjusted a little bit. And about a day after you and I met and did that, up here at Wildwood, the weekend of the show, I had that done. But this one is good to go, yeah. And if you want to let me ramble on and on and on, I got the equipment for the job.
10-4. Hey, let me ask you, we were at lunch, and one of the things, obviously, one of the things that kind of got my goat there, we were talking there at lunch, and you're telling me about some of the stops, and even Lou DiBardinas, he joined us there. We were sitting there talking, and the issue of truck parking came up. And I usually don't bring up stuff like that because sometimes you can't fix everything in the world, but what you mentioned really didn't make any sense about being over there at McLane and running into an issue where the sheriffs were handing out tickets. Go ahead and, you know, we're not going to fix anything with this, but at the same time, if we don't bring or try to shed some light on something, we never have the opportunity to try to fix some problems. So if you don't mind, recount what you're talking about there when you're over at McLane and what you saw and what you ran up against.
Absolutely. You know, it's just a place where I'm there quite frequently, actually, and it's a place where first of all, they receive in the evening hours, so it's usually later in the day, and at that particular part of the day, there's not a whole lot of places. You know, you're going to want to go that are even close to where that facility is. It's surrounded by, well, Disney World for the most part, and all the traffic and establishments that go along with that. And basically, it's tucked there in an industrial area on little narrow streets, and there's no truck parking anywhere near there. The nearest truck stop is, what we were thinking, almost, well, probably 25 minutes away at best, maybe 30. Nothing real close. And you have an appointment time to deliver, just like anywhere else, and you don't want to be late. At least most of us don't. So you go in there early, and when you get there, the way it used to be, everybody would just find a spot on the shoulder. It's just a little 2-lane industrial, road through an industrial area. There's not very much traffic. It's very low volume as far as traffic goes. So it's not like there's people zipping around and all sorts of pedestrians and leisure travelers, and there's none of that. The streets are narrow. You park on the shoulder, around on some of the side streets. I mean, they'll take in probably 40, 50 trucks a night, if not more. And so we all gather there in the evening around your appointment times, and most people just park on the side of one of the roads, on one of the streets, off on the shoulder, on the grass. You might be right up against a lane or something there, but they're little roads and there's nothing out there. Nobody really paid much attention. And when your appointment time is, you drive up to the gate and they let you in, and they don't provide any parking for you there at their facility, at least up until the time you're supposed to be there. And they give you like an hour before your appointment time, then they will let you in. And as a result of some of the problems they were having with people parking on the streets, with all the truck traffic that was parking outside, they opened up one of their rear lots and let us go back there while you wait for a dock assignment to unload your trailer. The problem is you just can't go waltzing in there at any time of the day and go park. It's just up like just before your delivery time. And the other part of that is they don't want you driving up to the gate, and because guys that might be there 2-3 hours early, they drive up to the gate, well, they won't let you go back there. So they don't want you driving up to the gate and checking in, because then they just turn you around inside and send you back out of the gate and say, well, come back in 2 hours. Well, there's nowhere to go. Where do we go? We'll drive away halfway to Tampa or some ridiculous thing. We can't do that. So the last time I was there and encountered this, there used to be a lot at a Home Depot just across the street around a corner, and people would back in there, and you could sit there for the afternoon until it was time for you to go deliver. Well, they got upset at some individuals for parking there, for doing some things that weren't really up to par for what you would want to do if you were going to have the privilege of parking and waiting in their driveway or in their parking lot. So we're no longer allowed to park there. Several trucks had tickets written from the police right there in that lot, because there's big signs that say no parking. They come right up in front of you and put their lights on and write you a ticket. So, okay, we can't park there anymore. Now when you go into McLane's, you pull off on the side, as I did that night, literally a half an hour before my appointment time, if that. I mean, it was probably within 20 minutes. And I parked my truck right outside their driveway, literally 20 yards from where I was standing at their security shack to check in. And as I'm waiting for my turn to hand my paperwork to the guy and say, here's what I have, and they ask you a couple questions, and okay, go ahead and pull around to the back and wait. In that waiting time, which took 10 or 15 minutes because they only allow one driver to check in at a time, that same police officer is zipping around out there on the streets, pulling up in front of my truck and turning his lights on. He's going to write me a ticket. And I can't pull up to the gate. They don't want you blocking their gate while you're checking in. They won't let you pull in and park and come give them your paperwork. You have to park out there for at least the time it takes to check in, which is, 10 or 15 minutes if there's a couple in front of you standing there to do it. You have to park there. There's nowhere else to park. You can't go in. They won't let you in. As I said, there's no parking lot outside. You have to park right there just for the few minutes. And you can have your four-ways on, your truck running. It's obvious you're not staying there. And this guy's whipping around, and I literally had to run over and tell him I was not going to stay there. And I was just, checking in, and I had to move my truck, and I ended up having to pull up to the gate because he was going to write me a ticket for 5 minutes on the side of the road. That's what we run into all the time at some of these places. It's getting more and more prevalent, and it's frustrating as hell, and it drives a lot of us crazy. And like I've said to people before, I understand you hate trucks. Unfortunately, I'm getting a ticket for doing my job. You're going to write me a ticket for being where I'm supposed to be on time when you told me to be here to do what I do, which is deliver the product you ordered. And now I'm going to get a ticket from the cops for doing that because what do? Fold the truck up and put it in my back pocket while I walk up to the guard shack and then unfold it and drive it away? I mean, it's just, some of it's just absolutely ridiculous, uncalled for, unnecessary. And yeah, like you said, it just makes you shake your head. So we don't like it. We try and let people know, well, we got to park somewhere. Where do you want us? And it doesn't seem to go very far, but we run into it a lot.
Yeah, when you told me that, it really didn't make any sense. Now, you said that there's another guy over there that got some tickets. What happened with him over there?
He was parked over at the empty lot over there in front of the Home Depot. And then he completely knew. I mean, he said, I'm not going to say I was in the right because I was parked over there along with about 8 other guys because there's just nowhere else to do it. And the cop just came over. Instead of being, you would think they would say, hey, look, you can't park here. You got to move. That's one way to do it. He didn't even do that. He just jumped out and started writing him a ticket. The guy got out of his truck and said, what's going on? And the cop's answer was, I'll deal with you in a minute. You just go stand over there. And his next question was, well, did I do something wrong? He said, I'll deal with you in a minute. He wouldn't say a word other than to be really, ignorant about it. So if that's, well, that's an age-old argument, I guess, in that respect. But he wrote him a ticket. And, and the guy said, well, I was parked where I shouldn't have been, but so was everybody else, and there's just nowhere to go. It's a big problem. And he almost got a second ticket over there where I was because I was standing next to him. He's telling me the story as we're trying to check in at the guard shack. And, yeah, he comes out while I'm standing there after I moved my truck up to the gate, and I said, that cop's back writing tickets. You better go. And he said, you're kidding, right? No, I'm not kidding. And he ran to his truck, and I don't know if he got one or not, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Like I said, putting this out there on the internet may not fix the issue, but at least you have the opportunity to voice your thoughts on the matter, and maybe at some point in time somebody would say, maybe we need to kind of revise what's going on here, because that company, McLane, and not to single them out, there's some other companies over there. There's a lot of truck traffic over there, and if you got that much volume of truck traffic, you're gonna there's gonna be some byproduct of something. Sure, you don't want the roads torn up, you don't want the shoulder torn up, you don't want unwanted people being out there at unwanted hours, but there's going to have to be some give somewhere in order to get the freight that these companies are ordering delivered.
That's absolutely right, and unfortunately, in that respect, not for me, because that's good for me, that's what I do, but every day more and more trucks are on the road, every single day. So where do you put them? And there's not any changes in the infrastructure that are happening to keep up with the growth of the number of trucks that are out there. That's the problem, and needs to be addressed. You're absolutely right.
Yep, 10-4. Heaven forbid if somebody says, let's stop making trucks and let's stop this truck freight and everything else, right?
What would happen then? It's like, use your head, but getting people to use their head some days is not the easiest thing in the world.
10-4. Well, on the flip side, we're up here at the Wildwood, and we're going to have us a good weekend at this truck show, right?
Damn right. It's time to park and crack them, if you know what I'm saying. I'm going to be over there in just a second, but I'll be with you shortly. I appreciate you chatting.
10-4. We'll see you.